think I started drawing before I actually started talking. Whenever I would go to my grandparents' house, they would just give me a stack of scrap paper and a pencil, and I used to just draw. I used to draw portraits. I used to draw people. I drew the family dog. I still have a little picture I drew of my grandfather. So there was something always about the human figure that I was interested in trying to capture. I wanted to be able to capture the human spirit in paint. I tend to like to keep my studio really plain. I just like looking at the open, empty space, and it sort of like just clears your mind. I like to sweep my floor, then I kind of stare at my empty walls, and then I'll paint. Clear mind, clear heart. I think I've been painting for about, 27 years. Painting the portrait for me has been a long journey. It's a long process.
When we look at two-dimensional art, we look at a painting or a photograph, we're always looking at the subject, or maybe we're looking at a landscape. But even then, the subject is the landscape or the person or the object or the cat. But in actuality, art is about the experience of how we move through space. And this is best exemplified by the Chinese in their landscape paintings, because when they painted landscapes, they wanted you to not just look at one scene like you would in a Renaissance or a westernized painting. They wanted you to go through a long horizontal scroll and travel, several feet down that scroll as they took you on a journey with them. Or you were looking at a vertical scroll where you had to wander up vertically through the painting, which meant that your eye travels. And once your eye travels, the horizon travels. And once the horizon travels, your mind travels.
I originally started off just painting friends. And then in these later years, I now paint anybody who's willing to sit for me. Anyone who comes to my studio, they sit for a portrait, I take their picture, and then from those pictures, I then make these paintings. We are social creatures, and so we seek each other out. We make friends, we fall in love. We're constantly looking at each other's faces and looking for meaning and trying to understand what the other person's thinking. And if you think about our lives online, how many pictures now we have of ourselves and of our friends, and we're trying to send other people messages by putting all these pictures up of all these people. So we're constantly looking at all these faces and deriving narratives and meaning from them. To construct a portrait in paint is this really satisfying process for me. It's really having to be focused and absorbed in the act of painting, but also in trying to convey a sense of life.
So the sketch of the face has to look right immediately. Then after that, as you start to paint onto the canvas, the face looks like a zombie. It looks like the blood and the guts of a human being are being laid together. And it basically looks like shit for 3 hours. And the tail end of the last hour, the 4th hour, everything like comes together and the light in the eyes appear, and then the face has life. But it has to be, in my mind, painted all at once, because it's like the paint is wet and everything's still moving around. It's like everything still has life. I'm battling the canvas, the paint is slipping around the place, the brush is still moving, and so, I don't know, somehow in that process, life just comes into the painting. And if I painted a face and then try and go back the next day and add something to it and change it, the face has already died. So there's something exciting about that fact of being able to paint it all at once and just trusting during the bulk of the time you're painting where it just looks like you don't know where you're going, it looks like garbage. And then it coming together at the very end, it's not just exciting, you feel like you're participating in something mysterious.
There were so many secrets contained in the material itself that if you really pay attention to how different kinds of paint react to each other, then you learn how to paint. Painting isn't about colors. It's not about, oh, blue, green, mix this color, make that color. It was about the actual physical quality of that paint. And if you can master the relationships between the way transparent and opaque paint react together, that's how you build up this beautiful, lustrous quality of oil painting.